I have Father Joseph, stage for the unit. Feeling just so greetings all my relatives. Jag finns kapp i halsen. I also like the function. So we're gathered once again to more to try our best to celebrate the love, life of love that's just gone before us. My friend Peter was a deeply respected person by all who knew him. People, every race, every friends. That's what he was about, friends. I was thinking about it and thought, what might I say that would be the truth? That would be interesting that he leave a message behind for all of us. This idea of friends kept coming back. And I said to myself, what is the measure of a man when it's all said? That he was alone, but that he was with people who he cared for, who he knew, and they were friends and relatives. Peter and I grew up in Ulysses, BC. I knew him because I spent 11 years in Alert Bay attending the residential school. That kind of marked our friendship, my friendship, Peter. Because when I look back at all of my experiences, there was nothing left to look at. Broken, in despair, just on that big person, as the experiences in those schools. So I became friends with this wonderful man, Peter. And without even trying to lecture me or judge me or tell me to do this or be different or try harder, he had an impact on me that was inspirational, that lifted me up from the darkness and brokenness of my past. And I began to feel the worth, the value in myself. There's no greater gift than that you can do to other human beings. Give them purpose, to give them the will to excel. That's noble and helpful. So I'm gonna really, really miss Peter. I haven't seen him for a long time. In the recent years, I've been traveling a lot, talking to people, talking about reconciliation and how we can be better together. So I was a theme speaker at this huge gathering at Queen Elizabeth Theatre. I was sitting in the back waiting. We thought I should go and peek out and see how many there were in the audience, and the hall was beginning to fill up. Then I saw Peter and my other friend raising that hand. And I thought, oh my God, my high school friend, they're going to see right through me. And then they sat around and they said, no, they're here to support you. And the idea that they were there to support me again was because they were that kind, those kind of friends. Peter had a giant personality, loud, bold, confident, knew who he was, knew where he was going, felt good about himself. And he allowed others to see that so that we, people like me, might get on that train and start to like myself, love myself, be like Peter, speak like Peter. So over time, without knowing, without that lecture or anything, like I said, he became my mentor, my role model. All of us, throughout the course of our lifetimes, need those kind of lift us up when things are heavy, to brighten our day when darkness prevails. So Peter, for me, was truly inspiration. He didn't want to be, he was just that way. And I thought about how come my friend is that way. And I thought about it and I thought about it. And while I talked about friendship, I realized another thing, that Peter became who he was because of family. It's a huge family, immediate family, and they're influential, significant, impactful, caring, they're connected to community, they're doers. And they help us to understand that we're all like that, we can be better. So I kept being friends with Peter and I kept growing and learning. He never ever once said, I'm your teacher, I'm your role model. He walked the walk, demonstrated and showed who he was, what he believed in, what his values were, what principles he lived by, without lecture. That's an amazing pathway for a human being. Feeling, wish upon all the others the joy and the peace that he found in his life, the will and sense of purpose and value that is spirit. So in the last few years, my friend Fred, Peter, people from time to time, or Robert, get together to talk. There was no agenda. They were saying, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to climb this mountain or change this. Just the idea that we had enough love and respect for each other that we could talk about anything. And I thought that's about it bonds us together. We want to be better than what we've been. Every once in a while, we'd separate, go our own way. I wouldn't see Peter for a long time, or he wouldn't see me for a long time, and then we'd run into each other. And the first thing that I always thought about Peter was this big smile. Nobody had a smile like Peter. That's only half of his smile. There was a smile. There was joy in the man, and he wanted to share it. Whoever he met, whoever along crossed each other's path. He would say, "Yo, hello, how are you?" And I say, "Yo, I'm fine." And then we burst out and laughed. I never could quite understand that, but we would break out in laughter after the little ritual. I think it was because Peter was fluent in Papa. I love to hear that man speak and I look back now and I hear his voice and I understand better now why he had the voice that he had. That he went to other people to support other people or to lift up his circle of friends together to think about ways and relationships where we communicate. So I spoke about family a moment ago. That's where he got his power from this huge, big, powerful Scow family, immediate family, and the extended family. His father, he was a giant of a man, legendary. When he spoke, you heard him. When he spoke, you listened to him. He was brilliant. He was a scholar. He was a leader. He was everything that many of us want to be. He took his role seriously, advocated on behalf of all of us, and created understanding between Indigenous people and all other people. Peter's mother's side. We have this most gentle, beautiful, soft, spoken, graceful matriarch who held herself up and just personified love and dignity. So how could Peter go wrong? Didn't. And then, of course, he had all of these siblings. I didn't get to know all of them closely, but they're beautiful, they're silent, strong, proud, resilient. And so Peter had a really good foundation for all of them. A few days ago, just prior to Peter's passing, I went to visit him on Salt Spring Island. He was calm, he was poised, and he was clearly at peace with himself. How many of our loved ones can we say about that when we first the final adversity of transitioning into this spirit? We'll talk about Peter for sure, and I'm sure there must be others. But I think about that and think about my own time to go. I want to be like to live out to my last breath the reason that was here, placed here. I saw courage in the face of adversity. Peter's face. I saw the indomitable human spirit that he always exuded. It was clearly present today. Even in those moments when he knew his time was closing in on him, Peter didn't become self-centered. He still cared about others, especially the dog, children, and his final thoughts were with them. But when I had gone there to do that day, I just felt compelled to do it, and I waited for a moment so that I could interject subtly or as quietly as I could. I went to Peter because I heard this all the time from others who sat with loved ones who were getting tired to move to the spirit world. I wanted Peter not to be afraid. To be afraid, and he wasn't. Lest we miss this most sacred moment of all human experience, moving from the mortal to the immortal world. I can't imagine anything more sacred than that moment. And if we believe that, if we can hold that to be true, then we can move the service into the idea that we are in a celebration of life. It's a process that happens in all of these gatherings. And so, while we're sad, of course, and while our spirits are heavy, of course, we celebrate this man who was dearly loved and respected. And we thank him for all of the things that he shared with this world. There is so much mystery in the universe. So many things unknown. While we are born of the flesh, we are also imbued with spirit. Peter knew this and graced his life with that understanding. We can all believe, accept, embrace the idea that we are more than flesh, that we're spirit. Our lives can be graced too. That's what set Peter apart from many of us. That's what made him special. That's how he achieved serenity and humility in this life. Because he thought about these things and worked toward these things. Peter was a good friend of mine. He was a powerful mentor. He was a role model to be emulated. Peter was always hopeful, always inspirational. He believed in himself and he wanted others, us, to believe in ourselves. During our high school days, I was an 11-year student at St. Michael's Residential School. My sense of my own humanity had already been totally destroyed, wiped away. I had been repeatedly, daily denigrated, humiliated, shamed, beaten up, mentally, physically, spiritually. I felt nothing and I became nothing. But you know what? Peter cared and he was my friend. Some of his friends became my friends. Like I said, my friend Fred is your friend Anderson. When we have friends and develop relationships and find ways to deal, to confront to work with any adversity that comes our way. For Peter, it was natural. He just had to be himself. He didn't need a degree. He didn't have to be schooled or educated. But he could be himself through all of the things that he learned from his wonderful family. Peter was fun. He was outgoing. He was charming, articulate, confident. He was a girl magnet. You know what? I was thinking the last few days, I've been thinking a lot about Peter. And he was just that kind of person that was open to all other human beings. I think if we learned that all of us, just to be open to each other, there'd be less judgment, less fear, less separation. And those were all of Peter's attributes. Along with everybody else that he knew or knew him, I wanted to be in his orbit, to be like him, to be happy. Happy go lucky. From mentor by example to being a role model, he taught me to see myself in a new light. Sometimes we beat each other up, sometimes far too often. You have to learn to see each other in a new light. That's what Peter did for me. That's what we could do for each other. We could learn by his example and make this a better place. Peter helped me to see beyond the human experience. I want to speak to the pamphlet. It's beautifully done. I know that, as is the case, that most gatherings all read much of it. But tonight, this evening, when you reflect on our gathering and you remember Peter silence of the bedroom, front room, or whatever, read this again. And you see all the foundational elements that made Peter a unique human being, someone who cared for others and did what he could when Edward could. And then in here as well, there are some perfect facts, highlights in Peter's life, moments where Pascha was the order of the day. So really look at this pamphlet, read it one more time, dedication to this wonderful man that we're saying goodbye to me. In the old days, when I was young and small and I lived in Kingston, Guilford Island, where Peter, by the way, was partly from as well, I'd go to funerals and we would walk a mile and a half to the gravesite into the woods in Kingston. In the middle of that forest, there's a clearing with row on row crosses, and the remains of many of the people who have gone on to the next world. At the very end of it, a chief, an elderly chief, would stand up. He would say, "Hadja, go now. Mama speak as Lord, for you have decided. Go. Wala musila, don't look back. For my youth, go straight need to be done, but it gets still done. So in time, we will need it. So go now. So we say those words to my friend Peter, your all. And we thank the Creator for his life, for his spirit, for his generosity, for his impact, for his contributions to humanity. Feel so privileged that he considered me his friend. That's always come. That's all for now. Feel like that's up wrong.
Yeah. That's to make people know, so you can make people know. Instead of me having to look in the camera.
Thank you for this lot of inspiration, motivational words.
You can look with-
Kevin, Peter's son.
You can come up this way.
Feeling nervous coming up here, but then I looked up with a smile. Thank you all for being here. I have so much love for all of you for coming here to sing all of this. Thank you, Robert Joseph, for your words. It's such a great for being in his life. So special to him. I just want to share a song that came to me and it always got me. Came to me from the outside in. Say Winkle Sun. It's the name of great songs to share this. Yahweh, 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 God, you know, with all those powerful ancestors who have predeceased you, may all of us be empowered with their love, wisdom, and strengths. Yo, give us love, all of our relations.
Part of the night that we like to have an open mic session. So if anyone would like to come up and share some words in regards to our here, please feel free to do so. I'm going to start that anecdote that occurred. As most of you know, he was involved in a lot of sports. He was a bit of a prankster, jokester. Some of his humor was a little bit above our heads. Is that an intellectual level? That's what it meant. Catch on jokes. He'd be the only one laughing. He used to always come to County River, and stopping place in County River was on AIDS home. And everyone used to drop by there, they were going up to Alert Bay or coming back from Bay, that was how to stop at. It was a meeting place, and I had the luxury in my life, of spending a lot of time in the city, and I got to see everything. One of these times, Uncle Peter showed up, Beverly, Kevin, that he was with at the time. We were goofing around in the house, and of course, there were too many people and not enough space to go around. So we asked us, come on, let's go outside and throw the football over. None of us were football. We had this ball, we really couldn't. Because Uncle Peter decided to show us how to play football. Throw the ball and tell us how to catch your hand, catch it with your body. So throwing and making us run these patterns, right to catch the ball. So concentrate on the ball, concentrate on it. Make sure to watch the ball, watch it go into your hands. I was a little happy now. Okay, I'm still happy. I was making comments on Peter, the kind of shake his head. Well, for this past, remember, we just watched the ball. He went out there and I ran with the pattern, not paying attention to what was going. He threw this ball and it's low, so I had to really bend down low to catch this ball. So I proceeded to catch it. Right after I caught the ball, everything went black. I couldn't breathe. I didn't know what was going on. For a split second, I started to panic, and then I stood up, realized I was standing in a mud puddle, about a foot and a half deep. To this day, I don't think he did that on purpose. And, you know, said, I don't know. It's one of the things I don't repeat, you know. I had spent some time with the Babbitt Cat, go skiing and so on. I always remember this win. Ball. Anyone else? For Mike?
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see you all. Fortunately, this is the only time sometimes where we get to run into each other. I assure you, it's coming to the family that you're all here. My heart goes out to Adele for occupying Peter all these years and sharing all your wonderful experiences together that I read about, and heard about. Even had him share with me some of the experiences. There was on occasion in Victoria, at least 12 years ago, when I would connect with Peter and Rupert. It was because of the niece Anne that suggested I go see them. They used to go Fridays down to the mall and the food court, and I think you would visit your father. We would sit there and just listen to the classic Scow one-liner theme. That was prevalent in every single one of them, including each of us here today. But listening to some of the others speak, and Peter spoke of Alan Olbert quite a bit, of course, Christine. He had a special place in his heart for you guys. Heard about him often. The classic lunches that Bobby Joe spoke of. I would bring Bobby Joe when Kevin came with us one time. We would pick Peter up in Colossum. He'd come off the ferry. And it really showed me dedication. Because this man would walk on the ferry, take it to Victoria, and take the Victoria ferry to Tuason, and come see his friend Bobby Joe and Fred. And we'd spend a few hours together, and we'd turn around and we'd bring him back to the Tuason ferry and do the reverse on back home. That's an all-day venture. But I got it the very first time I went with them. Just the pure joy, the laughter. After the fourth or fifth lunch, you realize they're just kind of the same stories or the same jokes, but they're kind of after one of the lunches of Boston Films, I brought Peter back to the ferry. We used to, we got Sirius radio in our car and put it on 50s or 60s for the right. And it's only a 10-minute ride for the mall to the ferry. And Peter and Bobby were both singing. I'm like, oh my God. You know, the speed limit's only 80, but they're gonna do it 110. They get there and pop out and, you know, they give Peter, give him a hug. I said, did he hear Bobby was singing? He goes, no, but it wasn't very good. I don't need to hear it. So, thinking about our family, I've been thinking about the last week or so. Peter had two uncles, Sam and Jack, and their descendants from both of those families here today. Sam had 9 children, Jack had 2, and then there's a 16 that their middle brother Bill had. So between the 3 of them, there's 27 kids, and well over 100 grandkids. It just exponentially got bigger, right? You could hear the stories from Beatrice and Winnie, Irene, just the pure joy in their household. You know, fishing was big, but I think just the time spent together. Peter carried those qualities his whole life. And I listened to Bobby Joe talk about his leadership. They come directly from his father, Bill. Bill was a natural born leader. One of the great warriors we've had in the last century for certain. So much so he got handpicked to go see the Queen at the coronation in 1853. But Peter's leadership, I heard about from a friend of mine in Victoria just about 20 years ago. His name is John Hayashi. John's a little bit older than me. And he come up to me on the soccer field and he goes, oh, so you're a Scow. And it's one of those, should I get it? He goes, oh, are you related to Peter Scow? Once again, I'm like, maybe. But John was a little boy in Prince Rupert, played in Peter's song. And John talked about Peter for a good 10 or 15, nothing but the highest of praise. He said, oh, I wasn't the only one. He said the rest of the kids adored and loved that man. Because I don't know what life was like in Rupert in the 60s, but Peter showed them love. Peter showed them commitment. Peter showed them hard work. And these are all John's words. And John said, I carry all of it to this day. So it's quite remarkable to have somebody make an impact with lives like Bobby Joseph, like Peter did with everybody. He left the visit with Peter and he felt good because he was just pure joy. They call it unconditional love. And he exuded that in spades. He was so proud of his dad, as it should be. Your dad should be your first role model. And Peter had the highest amount of respect and love for his father. But Peter would be the first to tell you that dad worked hard because of the 16 kids. Dad traveled a lot. Mom was our backbone. So Peter got it from both parents. Imagine cluelessly all by yourself looking after that many kids and having organization and rules. And Peter not only showed that with kids, but in his professional life. Working out in Delta and the Fraser River to be backers and being a manager. Some of Peter's friends are here from Indian Affairs that he worked with. I've heard from some of them that the same type of words, that he was a father figure. He was older than most of the other workers there, but they looked up to him and respected him. At the end of the day, he could lay his head down, know full well he did all he could. I heard this recently and it's going to stick with me for a very long time, but at the end of the day is over. Kind of like what Alfredo just said, it's kind of above your head, but it makes sense. But each and every single day, Peter had commitment. He had integrity. He told me, I don't know how many times, don't ever phone me between 10 and noon. What do? 10:30, I'm phoning him up. Leave a message. Peter phoned me back and said, "You forgot, huh?" I said, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "I go for a run every day between 10 and 2." But to be that committed to his personal health and his life really showed a lot. He didn't have to say it in words. He just showed you. I don't think I was ever at their prior house. They just moved. And Peter became ill not too long ago in Salzburg, but they had 2.5 acres, I would say, something like that. They had gardens, they had basically a farm, a hobby farm. So that's an awful lot of work for a young man, never mind somebody who's in retirement age. But it speaks to the teachings of our family. We're all familiar with Chief Johnny Scow, who was our head chief of Guilford Island, the Pacific people. And it came down to Bill Scow. And then you see the leadership qualities in a lot of Bill's kids, including Peter. Those are traits you can't buy. Those are inherited genes. I was proud to see that Peter inherited those because they made an impact on me, even the last 15 years. Just with his attitude and his sheer energy. You know, there was one time I was feeling down, and it was a Friday in Victoria, and I go met them at the mall. And him and Rupert are just all about laughter and all about love. And within about 30 seconds, I forgot that I didn't have the best of mornings or whatever. And on my way home, I'm like, wow, these guys have amazing attitudes. I want to be more like them. I'll share one last story. There's a lot of them, but a few years ago, Bobby Joe and I, Peter, my Auntie Mae Smith's daughter, Jessie. My dad was still living in Nanaimo. And Peter went to go see him. You know, my dad was just about 96 when he passed away. And I told Peter Dad would do well. So I was looking to move to Vancouver to a care facility. And Peter said, "Well, you organize it. I'll pay for the trip. Let's go." So, given that directive, I organized the trip and brought them over. And we spent a couple hours with my dad. And I recorded most of it. And just some of the interchange between Peter and my dad. And like Bobby Joe said, Peter was a fluent at Kwakwala. I'm sitting beside Jessie, and she understands it, but she doesn't know it to the level that Peter and my dad did. So to listen to them converse amongst each other, our humor in Kwakwala is entirely different from English. You see them laugh and then translate the story for you, and it doesn't make any sense. Peter really enjoyed, you thank so many times for bringing him to go see my dad. And he came up to see him once more at my wedding a few years ago. Peter came to my dad was there. My dad would bless him on our family history. And just the leadership qualities of Johnny Scow and his two brothers, Peter Scow, George Scow. Peter was named after my grandfather. Our grandfathers were brothers. And, Peter was proud to carry the name Peter Scow. Potlatch in 1942, my grandpa Peter's last potlatch. My grandpa Peter was well into his 70s at this point. And that's where Peter got his Kwakwala name. I have to dig in my paperwork to find out what it is. The family asked me. And that's where he got his name. And I can hear my dad sharing with Peter about the potlatches. My dad didn't attend. My dad was at St. Lane's. But it went on for 3 minutes in Guilford Island. Peter would have been 4 years old. So when Bobby Joe talks about those old days, it was a different time for them. They didn't know any different. We thought we had everything in the world. Why did we need to change the way we live? you really got into conversations with Peter about, which I did a few times, he really had honest opinions about it. And he's quite reflective as he got older. But I think with that, once again, I want to thank you all on behalf of our Scow family. And Peter come from Clearlake as well, the water side of his family. He's very proud to be from both. So once again, he could be anywhere else, but he chose to be here. And it means a lot to all of us to see faces I haven't seen in a while. So much love to you all. Safe travels home. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Don Stombeck. For those of you who don't know me, I'm from Alert Bay. I'm the water family. And my purpose here is certainly to offer condolence to my family. But I know, I guess it's Peter's most recent visit to Alert Bay. So I made sure you want to see him, talk to him, or let him know who I was. And I saw that smile that Bob just talks about. Bigger than that one there, and was truly happy that I came to speak to him. He recognized me, you know, we spoke. Realizing these family connections that we have, so no, I brought it here who don't know we're related, some of the younger ones, so. Well, you know that Peter is well clearly, Alice was my grandfather's sister, very closely related. So what? Put a face to me so that we know who we are when we see each other. We shouldn't walk by each other in Walmart without acknowledging each other. I think it's important. That's a short message. And again, from that short interaction I had with Uncle Peter, I wanted to just share that with everybody. And, I know I'll feel way better than Uncle Peter, so be sure to put that ball low on purpose. Thank you.
Very well. Means Mr. Scow. Say a few words. Here. My Uncle Pete and my dad were very close all the time growing up. Every time I went to Victoria, you know, eat, sit down and have something to eat. It's always laughter and it's joking. So he was there at the final. Dad passed away. Then brother Len and I always remember him joking around. He was always very good to us, very kind, always laughing. I like to relate this one story when I was living at my brother Barry's and Crabs and Pieces. One day, Uncle Pete phones up. He said, "Oh, hi, Uncle Pete. You would often visit Barry." So I said, "Oh, hi, Uncle Pete. I'll invite you in." Barry's phone. You need to use the phone to buzz people into his apartment.
So I hung up. And but he said, we get this call, sounds to beat again. And they said, oh, didn't it work? And he says, what did what work? He said, you come in, only trying to talk to Barry. Great luck. Fellas. Just like to also Scow, when the college guides is to honor the beat with some songs. Thank you. Yeah.
That song I sang was the prayer song. It was healing, it was healing in your heart. That song was part from the All Indian Opera. Sing what? My late uncle Abel Joe, smuck with it. Brought that up back in 1979. Out. It was a 3-hour show. He told me before he left, I was pretty young. He says, you better start singing these songs because I'm not going to be here very long. Sure enough. Started carrying on the song, all the songs that was in Yaka. Got it in my heart, my treasure box. So the next song was share. It's a remembrance song and dance. In your heart, we want the elder. Once he was here, now he's gone. This song was started from my late uncle Ray Peter. He told me the same thing. Learn the song. This is a song I'll try to remember. Have it in your heart. It was potato. From Salmon. Thank you for bringing songs. It's my heart's up pretty good. Really, especially the remembrance. It's me here to hear that song. Wherever you go, we're dancing to hear that. Brings up a lot of memories. We had the old timers, elders in our group. They're all gone now. The high school.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes the formal portion of the summary here. We have refreshments available for everyone, whether it's a guest book, Bible, pictures there, so you need to sign this book. So we'll just have our prayer for the prayer.
And like that's like giving me. Das eklig was danach befriedigt. Bless the food and thank you for the cooks. Thank you for the food. Those that are strong that just come alongside family. Bless them. Good the text I gave you and just fellowship together.
Thank you. Feel free to help yourself with the refreshments. The Scow family, thank you.
Thanks.